I hit the courthouse, sifting through dusty records under flickering lights, and uncovered gold. Victoria's architectural committee was a sham. No state filing or homeowner approval, violating Ohio law requiring proper establishment for enforcement. She'd been improvising violations based on personal vendettas for 2 years. While she wielded her ruler, Emma filmed from her window, building a digital arsenal. Neighbor Harold Voss, 86, an Army vet with a steely gaze, shuffled over. "When you sighting Mrs. Patterson's Virgin Mary statue?" A solar-powered monstrosity dominating her yard for 8 months. Victoria's smile faltered. Selective enforcement targeting military families. Religious discrimination against vets? That's federal civil rights territory, DOJ radar. That afternoon, I cracked HOA emails. Password 123, embarrassingly amateur. A forwarded bombshell from Pinnacle Development. Willowbrook Heights acquisition strategy. My property? Priority target 3, $340K profit post-flip. Victoria wasn't randomly harassing. She was spearheading a developer-driven purge, Derek providing muscle through selective code violations. Sarah found Mrs. Rodriguez sobbing on our porch. "They find my Desert Storm husband's flag." Eduardo died for this country, yet honoring him uncomforted neighbors. Patterns crystallized. 47 violations in 10 months, 43 to vets, rescinded for civilians. Frank Rivera, postal worker and vet, got cited for weekend flags. We convened in my kitchen, anger simmering like acrid smoke. Victoria struck with a $3,200 backdated violations demand, 30 days or property seizure. Photos from Derek's city truck, taken on taxpayer time, backed it. But she underestimated me. While she played dictator, I traced financials. Ohio law mandates disclosure in 10 days. She delayed 3 weeks, scrubbing records clean. Derek's barbecue brags about streamlining bids, flags. Did fraud over 50K, FBI jurisdiction. His contracts? 2.3 M in 3 years. Emma's stats project mapped the bias. Her Instagram docuseries hit 50,000 followers. Victoria filed school complaints, labeling us cyberbullies, pushing for Emma's suspension. Sarah countered with folders, transcripts, harassment docs, legal opinions. Complaint withdrawn in 8 minutes. Flyers branded us troublemakers lowering values, misspelled and desperate. Derek's inspector pal Brad nitpicked my outlets, citing irregularities despite permits. Sarah filmed, Emma fact-checked live, exposing golf ties to Derek. 50,000 viewers watched corruption unravel. Harold's old newsletters revealed original contracts. $200 monthly upkeep, versus Derek's brother-in-law's $1,200, $30,000 overcharges in 3 years. Sarah pulled disclosures, double billing city and HOA. Frank recorded Derek admitting bid rigging. Emma caught Victoria's post. Dealing with problematic military families. We cataloged emails, records, violations, federal case primed. Victoria's emergency $1,500 assessment for beautification hit during Emma's swim meet. Green Horizons, Derek's kin, triple rates. Harold exposed Victoria's lowball offers to harassed vets. Henderson's sold at 60% value, flipped by her firm. Frank's postal access showed Pinnacle mail. Acquisition targets. It reeked. Ethnic cleansing of vets for profit. The stakes soared. Derek's mosquito breeding order demolished my garden at dawn. Excavator teeth ripped orchids. Diesel soaked the earth. Derek laughing, "Clear out the crippled vet's junk." Cameras captured it all. Emma's remote access to Derek's PC revealed veteran suicide research, PTSD triggers, weaponizing my trauma. They'd mapped my therapy schedule for max damage. Harold's audio. Victoria and Derek plotting a Costa Rica escape with embezzled funds. Her affair. Pregnancy cover. $640K theft. Spouse fraud. They mused permanent solutions if framing failed, murder threats. FBI's Tom Walsh, RICO, wire, mail, contractor fraud, terrorism. We let them think they won, documenting every move, even with my scars. I'm Marcus Thornfield, 42, an Army veteran who left my left leg in Afghanistan when an IED turned my convoy into a hellscape of fire and shrapnel. 2 tours taught me to endure, but losing my dad to cancer 2 years ago nearly shattered me. He was a Vietnam vet, Purple Heart tough, and in his final months, as chemo sapped his strength, we built that memorial garden together as a lifeline. We planted Purple Heart orchids with his trembling hands, installed a gentle water feature whose trickle drowned my PTSD nightmares, and arranged memorial stones in the pattern of his unit's formation. Each element a piece of his soul, scented with jasmine that soothed my mind better than any VA prescription. I inherited our modest 1960s ranch house in Willowbrook Heights, a once working-class enclave filled with military families who knew the true price of freedom. My wife, Sarah, a physical therapist, runs sessions for fellow broken vets like me. She's brilliant, stubborn, and carries the faint lavender scent of the soap she uses between patients. Our daughter Emma, 16, swims like a fish and has zero patience for nonsense. Wonder where she gets that fire. We weren't wealthy, but we were stable. Our home a sanctuary carved out of chaos. Then the gentrification storm hit. Tech bros and house flippers descended like locusts, jacking up property values and transforming our quiet streets into their personal playgrounds. That's when the HOA flexed its muscles, fees leaping from $45 to $180 a month, offering nothing but a barrage of harassment in return. Enter Victoria Blackwell, 44, with cold, shark-like eyes and a smile that could freeze hell itself. She slithered into power 2 years ago, her husband Derek running the city's biggest contracting empire, a corrupt power couple tag-teaming to drain every last dollar from the neighborhood. Victoria's opening salvo, Labelli, my dad's garden, a religious display violating architectural harmony standards. Irony dripped thick. Her friend Martha's $6,000 garden gnome army 3 blocks away never drew a violation. The catch? I was a disabled vet on a pension. Martha wrote fat HOA checks without a peep. Victoria handed me that first notice with a smugness I hadn't seen since corrupt Afghan officials demanded bribes, claiming my garden broke bylaws that didn't exist when we built it. But in Ohio, HOAs have limits. Original 1987 incorporation papers restricted them to entrance maintenance and block parties, not dictatorial rule. Their board terms had expired 3 years ago, rendering every action since legally void under state law. My military intel training kicked in. Verify the enemy's authority before engaging. Victoria, however, wasn't backing down. She was gearing up for war. The harassment escalated like a military campaign. Sarah received anonymous complaints about Emma's swim team using our pool during family hours Victoria conjured from thin air. Parking tickets materialized on Sarah's therapy patients' cars parked legally in our driveway. Even Ranger, my bomb-sniffing German shepherd turned therapy dog, was branded a noise nuisance, despite being quieter than Victoria's yappy chihuahua. It felt like a calculated strike, hitting our vulnerabilities. Emma's senior year thrown into chaos before college applications. Sarah's practice threatened by access restrictions. My garden marked for obliteration. Derek rolled by daily in his city truck, snapping photos like a reconnaissance drone, his routine inspections demanding access to my basement workshop where he eyed my medical gear with predatory interest. The squeak of our front gate became Victoria's signature, announcing her surprise dinner-hour compliance visits, ruler in hand to measure my grass for imagined infractions. What the? I didn't grasp. You don't provoke a vet who specializes in digital forensics. While Victoria schemed, I went on the offensive. Green horizons? Derek's kin? Triple rates. Harold revealed Victoria's lowball offers to harassed vets. Henderson sold at 60% value, flipped by her firm. Frank's postal access showed Pinnacle Mail. Acquisition targets. It stank. Ethnic cleansing of vets for profit. Escalation peaked. Derek's mosquito breeding order demolished my garden at dawn. Excavator teeth ground orchids, diesel doused plants. Derek laughing, "Get rid of the crippled vet's junk." Cameras caught it all. Emma's remote access to Derek's PC revealed veteran suicide research, PTSD triggers, weaponizing my trauma. They'd studied my schedule for max damage. Harold's audio. Victoria and Derek plotting Costa Rica escape with embezzled funds, her affair with Derek, pregnancy cover, $640K theft, spouse fraud. They discussed permanent solutions if framing failed, murder threats. FBI's Tom Walsh, RICO, wire, mail, contractor fraud, terrorism. We let them think they won, documenting. The trap, mandatory meeting, $50 fee, terrorism threats. Derek's SWAT standby. But we packed it. 400 people, media, agents. Victoria's slideshow, doctored photos, me as terrorist. Emma streamed live. I rolled up. Correct errors. Agents arrested. Conspiracy, fraud, rights violations, threats. Victoria shrieked pregnancy exemption. Denied. Richard filed divorce on spot. Cheers erupted. 6 months later, Victoria birthed in prison, 8 years. Derek got 12. 2.1 M restitution. Mansion, veteran housing. Veterans Housing Protection Act passed, shielding memorials. My garden reborn as community hub. Emma's scholarship, Northwestern. Neighborhood values up 18%, fees down. Scholarship fund, festival, clinic expanded. We testify, inspire 47 cases. Justice's taste? Sweet vindication. Document everything. Share your story. Subscribe. It's 6 a.m. on a foggy Ohio morning, the air thick with dew and tension, when the sheriff raps sharp, on my door. An eviction notice gripped in his hand like a loaded weapon, ready to cast me out of the house I've owned outright for years. My pulse thunders as I fumble with my phone, hitting play on a grainy video that freezes the sheriff mid-step. Derek Blackwell, the HOA president's husband, cackling maniacally while wielding bolt cutters to shred my disabled father's memorial garden, dousing the purple heart orchids with diesel fuel and sneering, "Time to clear out the crippled vet's junk." The sheriff's jaw drops, his authority crumbling, and just 24 hours earlier, I was Marcus Thornfield, a disabled veteran trying to keep my head down in suburban Willowbrook Heights. But Victoria Blackwell, the HOA's iron-fisted queen, had declared war on my family, plotting to steal our home and erase our legacy with ruthless precision. Little did she know, I'm a cybersecurity expert who'd been silently tracking her $340,000 embezzlement scheme for months. Her illicit affair with the city contractor captured on my hidden cameras, and the destruction of a Purple Heart Veterans Memorial? That's a federal crime with teeth. The metallic stench of severed irrigation pipes mingled with the acrid bite of diesel-soaked soil, a grim perfume that foreshadowed their inevitable downfall. But how did this spiral from petty tyranny to me owning their entire corrupt board? What desperate moves and hidden truths flipped the script? Stick with me, because this isn't just a tale of revenge. It's an edge-of-your-seat journey through HOA laws, federal veteran protections, and the art of outsmarting bureaucratic predators. If you've ever faced an overreaching HOA or corrupt officials mocking your sacrifices, this story will grip you tight. Drop a comment with your wildest HOA horror tale. Where are you watching from right now? Hit that like button, subscribe for more justice-fueled stories, and let's plunge into the suspenseful saga of how I turned the tables and claimed total victory. Let's rewind 3 months before that sheriff's unwelcome knock, back when life still held a fragile peace. Victoria handed me that notice with smug satisfaction, like a corrupt official demanding bribes overseas. But in Ohio, HOAs have limits. Original 1987 papers showed they could only maintain entrances and host parties, not enforce made-up rules. Terms had expired 3 years ago, voiding everything under state law. I learned in military intel, verify the enemy's authority before engaging. Victoria wasn't surrendering ground, she was waging war. The harassment ramped up like a coordinated assault. Sarah got anonymous complaints about Emma's swim team using our pool during family hours Victoria invented. Parking tickets slapped on Sarah's therapy patients' cars in our own driveway. Even Ranger, my bomb-sniffing German shepherd turned therapy dog, became a noise nuisance, despite being quieter than Victoria's yapping chihuahua. It felt surgical, hitting our pressure points. Emma's senior year disrupted before college apps. Sarah's practice threatened, my garden marked for doom. Derek drove by daily in his city truck, snapping photos like he was casing a joint. His routine inspections demanded basement access, where he eyed my medical gear. The squeak of our gate became Victoria's dinner-hour compliance visits, her ruler measuring my grass for violations. What they didn't grasp: you don't corner a vet specializing in digital forensics. While Victoria plotted, I dove into her world. First, courthouse dives revealed her architectural committee was bogus. No state filing or homeowner approval, violating Ohio law requiring proper establishment for enforcement. She was freelancing violations on grudges. While she measured my lawn, Emma filmed for evidence. Neighbor Harold Voss, 86, Army vet, shuffled over. "Why not cite Mrs. Patterson's Virgin Mary statue?" Victoria stammered. Selective enforcement based on military status, religious discrimination against vets, federal civil rights violation, DOJ territory. That afternoon, I hacked into HOA emails, password 123 amateur, a forwarded gem from Pinnacle Development, Willowbrook Heights acquisition strategy. My property? Priority target, $340K profit, post-flip. Victoria was forcing out originals for developers, Derek providing muscle via code violations. Sarah found Mrs. Rodriguez in tears. They fined my Desert Storm husband's flag. Eduardo died defending freedom, yet honoring him made neighbors uncomfortable. Patterns emerged. 47 violations in 10 months, 43 to vets, rescinded for civilians. Frank Rivera, postal worker and vet, got cited for weekend flags. We gathered in my kitchen, anger thick as acrid smoke. Victoria hit with a $3,200 backdated violations demand, 30 days or seizure. But she underestimated me. While she ruled, I traced financials. Ohio requires disclosure in 10 days. She delayed 3 weeks, scrubbing records. Derek bragged at barbecues about streamlining bids. Fraud over $50K triggers FBI. His contracts? 2.3 M in 3 years. Emma's stats project showed the bias. Her Instagram docuseries gained 50,000 followers. Victoria filed school complaints, calling us cyberbullies, demanding Emma's suspension. Sarah countered with folders, transcripts, harassment docs, legal opinions, complaint withdrawn in 8 minutes. Flyers warned of troublemakers lowering values, spelling errors and all. Derek's inspector buddy Brad nitpicked my outlets, citing irregularities despite permits. Sarah filmed. Emma fact-checked live, exposing golf ties to Derek. 50,000 watched corruption unfold. Harold's old newsletters showed original contracts. $200 monthly upkeep versus Derek's brother-in-law's $1,200, $30,000 overcharges. Sarah pulled disclosures, double billing city and HOA. Frank recorded Derek admitting bid rigging. Emma found Victoria's posts bashing problematic military families. It cataloged emails, records, violations, federal case ready. Victoria's emergency $1,500 assessment for beautification, timed during Emma's meet. At 6 o'clock a.m., on a crisp Ohio morning, and the sheriff is pounding on my door with an eviction notice clutched in his hand, ready to boot me out of the house I've owned outright for years. My heart races as I pull out my phone and hit play on a video that shows the HOA president's husband, Derek Blackwell, cackling like a hyena while he swings bolt cutters through my disabled father's memorial garden, dousing the purple heart orchids with diesel fuel and mocking, "Time to get rid of the crippled vet's junk." The sheriff's face drains of color, and just 24 hours earlier, I was Marcus Thornfield, a disabled veteran minding my own business in suburban Willowbrook Heights. But Victoria Blackwell, the HOA queen bee, had declared war on my family, thinking she could steal our home and erase our legacy. Little did she know I was a cybersecurity expert who'd been quietly tracking her $340,000 embezzlement scheme for months. Her steamy affair with the city contractor, caught on my hidden cameras, and destroying a Purple Heart Veterans Memorial? That's a federal crime that could land her in prison stripes. The metallic stench of severed irrigation pipes and poisoned soil hung in the air like the scent of their impending downfall. But how did it all unravel? What twisted path led from petty harassment to me owning their entire corrupt board? Stick around, because this isn't just a revenge tale, it's a masterclass in HOA laws, federal protections for veterans, and how to fight back against bureaucratic bullies. If you've ever dealt with an overreaching HOA or corrupt officials mocking your sacrifices, this story will hook you. Drop a comment with your wildest HOA horror story. Where are you watching from? Hit that like button, subscribe for more tales of justice, and let's dive into the suspenseful saga of how I turned the tables and claimed victory. Let me take you back 3 months before that sheriff showed up, when life felt stable, even good, despite the scars. I'm Marcus Thornfield, a 42-year-old Army veteran who left my left leg in Afghanistan after an IED turned my convoy into a fireball. 2 tours taught me resilience, but losing my dad to cancer 2 years ago nearly broke me. He was a Vietnam vet, Purple Heart recipient, tough as nails, and in his final months, we built that memorial garden together as therapy. Purple heart orchids he planted with trembling hands, a gentle water feature that masked my PTSD nightmares with soothing sounds, memorial stones arranged in his unit's formation. Each element was a piece of him, scented with jasmine that eased my mind better than any VA meds. I inherited our 1960s ranch house in Willowbrook Heights, a once working-class neighborhood full of military families who understood the cost of freedom. My wife, Sarah, a physical therapist, runs sessions for fellow broken vets like me. She's smart, stubborn, and always smells like the lavender soap she uses between patients. Our daughter, Emma, 16, swims like a pro and has zero tolerance for injustice. Wonder where she gets that from. We weren't rich, but we were steady. Our home a sanctuary amid the chaos. Then came the gentrification wave. Tech bros and flippers swarmed in, driving up prices and turning our quiet streets into their playground. That's when the HOA beefed up, fees jumping from $45 to $180 a month, with nothing to show but endless nitpicking. Enter Victoria Blackwell, 44, with shark eyes and a smile that could curdle milk. She slithered into power 2 years ago, her husband Derek running the city's biggest contracting firm. A corruption duo tag-teaming to squeeze every dime from the neighborhood. Victoria's first strike? Declaring my dad's garden a religious display, violating architectural harmony standards. Funny, her pal Martha's $6,000 garden gnome army 3 blocks away never got a peep. The difference? I was a disabled vet on a pension. Martha paid fat HOA checks without questions.